Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode on the Pink Stethoscope. So I'm your host Paris, and today we're here to discuss about more disparities in the healthcare community. This platform is designed for all of you to have a say, to get down to earth about anything that's going on in the healthcare system, and to slowly improve the system one step at a time. So make some tea, grab a snack, kick back and relax, and leave a comment below so that you can have your say, because this page is your stage to have a say. So I'm here with Francesca.
Hi.
And we're going to unpack some interesting news. And we're going to, get into the tea and maybe some medical gossip too. So if you could introduce yourself to the platform.
Hi, I'm Francesca. I'm a biomedical student and I have sickle cell trait, which is not really, doctors don't really know if it's the trait because I keep getting crisis. And I'm here to talk about my story.
So when you say that you keep getting a crisis, like how often do you get those?
It depends, depending by the stress or the outside temperature, if it's too hot, if it's too cold, if I don't drink enough water for the day. It will just, I will just feel some pain in my joints usually and just go to sleep, wake up, and I have a crisis.
No way.
Yeah.
And you've gone to the hospital for those on multiple occasions?
No, I actually, the first time was on Monday, this past Monday, because I always had this fear that if I would go in, they would just dismiss me because on the records I have the trait. So the common knowledge for the trait is that you don't get crisis.
Yeah.
So what I was afraid of is I will go into the hospital, tell them I have sickle cell trait, I'm having a crisis, and they would just not believe me because they'll be like, well, from my studies, the trait doesn't have crisis, so you're actually not in pain.
Yeah, you know what, even for me, from a clinical point of view, that's so insane to me to hear as well, because I come from a family where one of my parents has the trait, and they've never had any crisis themselves. So of course, they drill it into you as well. People with the trait, they don't really get any symptoms, but they always tell you, oh yeah, but they're immune to getting malaria or things like that, right?
Yeah.
But they never tell you, oh, they might get the trait. So that's why it's like, oh, really, you've been going through this. I'm so sorry. You actually go through. That's so beyond me. I can't believe that that's actually the case.
Yeah, so it's very I feel like a few people know about the fact that some people could have the trait and crisis, but most people, the general knowledge is people with sickle cell trait don't get crisis. They're just carriers, and they could make a kid that has the disease if they marry or have kids with someone that has the trait. So,
jeez. So, is that being investigated now?
Yes. So I did get a blood test on Monday done when I went in for the first time for the crisis. And while doing it, I spoke with the doctor and said how there's this doubt about me having the disease and not the trait. So she decided to ask for a sickle test to be performed. And I'm just waiting for the results, which will come on the 23rd of December.
23rd of December? Wait, December?
Yeah.
And you got the test done on Monday?
Yeah.
What if you have another crisis? You just have to deal with it till then?
I've been given codeine to treat for the pain because normal painkillers like ibuprofen, paracetamol don't really work for me. So I've been given codeine for that. But I've been told that if I have a crisis in my chest, then I have to go to the hospital because they're scared about the oxygen level dropping.
Yeah, because it doesn't happen to the entire body at once, does it? It happens in different specific areas.
Yes.
Wow. How does that actually make you feel knowing that it's not until the end of December, essentially?
I think I've waited for so long, I don't really mind. it's just, I've just waited for so long that it feels like another month. So it's not.
When you say you've waited for so long, what do you mean?
So I mean that to get diagnosed with sickle cell trait, I had to basically wait 16 years because, I used to live in Italy. And when I was little, I used to go. I was very like a very energetic child, so like running around, jumping around, just all of that. So I would come back at night and basically hold mainly my knees because it would like start in my knees. So I would just go to my mom, cry, and say I can't sleep because my knees feel like they're on fire. And my mom used to just put some vapor rub and hot water because that's what she thought to do.
Which country?
Yeah.
South Africa. Yeah, they always tell you apply rub.
Yeah,
Be okay.
exactly.
Always apply rub. Or what was the other one? Obas oil they'll put on your pillow. Every time, like if something was wrong, just put rub.
Yeah, exactly. So I had that on my knees, hot water.
I'm surprised she didn't tell you to chew ginger as well. At this point, I'm surprised she didn't tell you drink lemon, drink teas, chew ginger.
I think it's because it was just mainly my knees. So she was like, okay. I think she also took that to the doctor, to my pediatrician in Italy. And the pediatrician said, what did she say? The pain was because it was growing. There were growing pains in my knees. So it wasn't anything deep.
Kind of growing pain. Really? Like, did they do any x-rays or anything like that?
No, just...
They just said it's because you're growing?
Yeah.
So they didn't investigate it further?
No.
Why?
I guess Italy has, doesn't have a lot of cases of sickle cell. That would be my guess. Because...
That's not fair though.
True.
Even if they weren't thinking about sickle cell at the time, like if a child is telling you that they have constant knee pain, the first thing you're gonna think is, okay, maybe there's something wrong there. Like even if you're saying there's growing pains or you're growing, that's why you're in pain. No, that doesn't make sense because growth is a natural thing, and you shouldn't have to be in pain just be going through a natural process. Do you get what I mean? So that means I feel like they should have actually dug a bit deeper in that sense.
Exactly.
Do you feel like that affected your childhood a lot?
Not really, because I would just have the pain and that's it. Like I would just feel the pain at night. I would just sometimes cry myself to sleep and then just go on. No, really.
Like sometimes you just have to wake up and go, oh man, really?
Yes. Not much I could do.
I know. I'm so sorry you even had to go through that. You shouldn't have had to go through that at all.
It's alright.
Obviously, I didn't do anything, but it's more of a case like I actually genuinely do feel for you because it's not fair that you did have to go through that. And if there was more recognition in the beginning, maybe they would have realized that, this could be sickle cell, or at least the trait that's causing this.
Yes, exactly.
Oh man. That's unfair. That's so unfair.
Yeah.
Jeez. So, with these experiences then, has anyone actually dismissed you, other than these like childhood experiences, now that you're older and you've been going through these pains and stuff, have you felt dismissed?
I feel like when I got diagnosed, I felt dismissed by my family. Not my parents, but just my close relatives, because they used to be like, well, but that's not important. Like, that's not that deep. Like,
what, like the fact that you were in pain?
The father has sickle cell. And I don't know. And especially, I remember one time I was in class and we were talking about sickle cell in science. So I told my professor that I had sickle cell trait and that I was getting crisis. And the first thing that he said was, no, you can't have crisis because you have the trait. And I was like, but I do have crisis. And he was like, no, you don't. And it was literally like, how don't I have crisis if I got diagnosed because of crisis? Like, that's the first thing that led to me being tested again.
Oh, bless. Because the thing is, like, when it comes to the trait, luckily they taught this to us, but one thing that we've been taught is people with the trait can get similar symptoms to people who have sickle cell. But I don't think they've ever said, like, it can get as deep to also having a crisis. So I guess there's a lot of disparities there. Not a lot of people know enough about it. And hopefully this is the goal, to get more people to know more about the fact that people with the trait can also get crisis, and we should look out for them too.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you feel like at the moment that the NHS staff understand what you're going through at the moment?
I feel like it depends. I feel like there's some stuff that they don't really understand what it is, or they don't even know what it really is. Well, like the staff that I met on Monday when I had my crisis, they were quite understanding and just very sympathetic of what I was going through. Like, they didn't try to dismiss me or just did not, like, just took a face value what was going on, because on the outside you can't really see that I'm in pain other than me saying something. And I work at the Royal Sussex Hospital.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I've been part of the Black History Month conference. And when I went there, I also saw a lot of, like, people that participated in this workshop that was for sickle cell and were interested in making a difference and, like, understanding how sickle cell works, how to support patients with sickle cell. So I feel like, I guess the topic of sickle cell is time to be, like, picked up and looked into by NHS staff, and so they could kind of, like, get more knowledge on it and help patients.
Do you feel like those workshops are enough?
I feel like they're a good starting point, but they also need to be applied, because if you go to the workshop and you just listen to it and then you don't really apply to it, like, you don't really apply it in real life, then it's not really useful.
Yeah. Like, I think one of the biggest issues in the training for people in the clinical world is they throw a lot of e-learning, they throw a lot of all these training courses with the intention to, you know, raise awareness and stuff. But a lot of the time it's also to protect their own back, because if something happens with the patient and the person didn't know how to deal with it, well, they've had training, so the hospital won't get sued. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of sad, because I feel like there's not enough follow through after the training to see if people are actually implementing what they've been taught and what they've been learning. You know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like from our side there should be more, almost like a constant, like, qualification thing. You know, like how we do first aid training and stuff like that. We have to get that renewed. I feel like it should be the same kind of training. Like, for example, with my course, we have something called an OSCE. I don't know if you've heard of those. Those are like, so OSCEs are exams where they give you a clinical scenario and they mark you based on how you've approached the situation, how you've performed whatever they've asked you to perform. And sometimes they'll get the patient to also mark you to see how you are, like, personally. And I kind of think they should implement that in regards to dealing with, like, a crisis and how they've approached the person, etc. Because one thing that I've noticed, especially on social media, there's an ongoing issue with a lack of urgency to someone who is going through a crisis in the hospital. I don't know, has that ever happened to you? Like, especially on Monday, you said you went in for a crisis. Do you feel like there was enough urgency?
Yes, I was seen, I think, within 20 minutes. That was at the hospital. Like, it was very quick. Like, I got triaged quickly and then given medication and then X-ray to check for any damage, especially because they were worried about the necrosis in my hip. So checking X-ray, chest, hip, then fluids.
Okay.
And then they just monitored me.
You know what? Like, I'm really happy that they did give it. There was some sort of urgency for you. So that means clearly it's not everyone.
Exactly.
It's not everywhere that's bad, but unfortunately, there's still a lot of people that don't have that level of urgency. So would you say as well that although you had a good experience in that sense, that there should still be more urgency?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay. And do you feel like the public themselves are aware enough about sickle cell? Do you feel like there's enough of an uproar?
I don't think so. I think because it doesn't really affect most of the people, like the general public, like is not gonna think about sickle cell, and most people don't really know what it is. And they don't know what it is. They don't know what causes it. They just I think at max people know there's a mutation that comes from Africa.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most that they know.
Yeah. So like, just so that the viewers can know as well, sickle cell, it's a blood disorder which is caused by a genetic mutation which changes the shape of the cell. So it causes a broad range of issues and can lead to a crisis in which anything could really happen. It can affect any organ. Yeah. So, and because it affects so many, it can affect different organs at a time. It can be hard to decide to decipher whether it's a crisis half the time. But I think it's sad that it takes someone to say, I have sickle cell, for them to be like, oh, this is a crisis. Do you get what I mean? And I don't think it's fair. So, where would you say that clinicians themselves are lacking in regards to dealing with this?
I think it would be more like believing the patient. I feel like there's a lot of misinformation about the fact that people with sickle cell come in just for drugs and just drug seeking people, while they're not. They're just people in pain that are basically begging to make the pain stop. So I feel like there's that, and just maybe some clinicians like looking down on people with sickle cell because of that. So, and also just, as you said before, sense of urgency, because I guess some clinicians are just like, well, it's just a sickle cell crisis. That's not like that important. Well, it is important because the quicker you act, the less damage you could make to the person. So I think that is one, like, 2 points are like the most important ones.
Exactly, yeah. Because we know that sickle cell affects mostly the African Caribbean community, would you say that skin color is one of the reasons why sometimes it's not taken with urgency? Do you feel like that might also be the case?
I guess it could be that as well. And especially, I guess, skin color also reinforces the fact that they could think, oh, this person's here only for drugs. They're not actually in pain. They're drug seeking people. Well, they're not. Or also, it could explain why they don't act with urgency, because especially in older training, they were taught that Black people have a high pain tolerance. So they might be thinking, well, they have the crisis, but they're not in pain. So
they love using that, that Black people have a high pain. They don't really, I'm in pain, just because I'm not crying straight away does not mean that I'm not in pain. Sometimes just because I'm not in the middle of the hospital tearing my singlet, it doesn't mean that I'm not in pain.
Exactly.
Like, everyone has their own pain threshold, and I think it's so ridiculous. Like, I mean, sure, maybe Black people do have a higher pain tolerance, but it doesn't mean that we want to be going through that pain longer than we should do.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't come into a room and be like, oh, she's gonna be fine. They've got high pain tolerance, that'll be right. It's never that.
Yeah.
Because if I'm telling you I'm in pain, I'm actually in pain.
Yeah.
Please, like, give me some pain relief. I need it.
Exactly.
It's so bad. Like, we shouldn't have to have TikTok videos of our people crying, literally crying blood, sweat, and tears because they're not getting the pain relief that they've been asking for. And I've seen someone who was in A&E for like 10 hours having a sickle cell crisis. Imagine the pain. And I can't even imagine to put myself in your shoes because I haven't experienced it. But you can imagine like how bad that must have been, being in that kind of pain for like 10 hours and nobody is giving you pain relief.
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous. I mean, we can see like how it's affecting our community. I mean, maybe you saw the headline on Shade Bar the other day.
Yes.
The man that died from sickle cell crisis. How did that actually make you feel when you saw it?
I guess it made me feel unsettled because it's something so preventable and no one was actually there to listen to him. And because of that, he just died. Like that is mind blowing to me. And also it made me feel like, what if I have a crisis that is that bad that will go to the hospital and it will just leave me there? No urgency, nothing. Like it just makes you feel like you can't really trust going into the hospital. So you might as well just stay home. Because if you're going to be in pain,
be in pain in the comfort of your home.
Exactly. Then going to the hospital.
I mean, have you ever had like a family member who's had a crisis before as well?
I'm not sure because there's a lot of like reluctance on getting like tested and diagnosed. So I'm pretty sure they have, but they don't really say anything.
Do you feel like there's a bit of a stigma in your family about sickle cell?
Not really.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about the idea of donating blood? Have they ever donated blood before?
I don't think so.
Do you feel like people around you are against the idea?
I don't think they're against the idea. That I don't think that actually ever thought about donating blood or anything. I mean, I would donate blood, but my anemia is like it's not even sickle cell because I have the trait. I could donate, but my anemia is so bad that I can't donate. I can't donate to begin with, so I just have to. I just feel like I'm not doing enough because I could be donating and help people, but I can't. At the same time, I also have to remember to be kind to myself because
of course,
it's not really my fault that I can't
100%.
donate.
I was actually going to say that to you, like, please don't be hard on yourself about that at all. The fact that you're even coming onto a platform to raise awareness about it in the first place, you're doing your part. Like, you shouldn't even have to worry. It's the fact that people even have to do their part in the first place, which is probably the most shocking part. So I would say don't ever be hard on yourself about that because you're doing enough as it is. For me, you're struggling with a lot more than what half the population have to deal with. If you want to be selfish, be selfish. So let's talk Supercell. I'm sure that's probably one of the most common things that people talk about when it comes to whole sickle cell and stuff. So when it first came out, how did you feel about it?
To be honest, I didn't really have a lot of like publicity, not on my social media. Like when it first came out, I had it after, but I've been told by many people to watch it. I haven't still gone around to watch it, but I know there's about sickle cell. I feel like it's a good thing because it gives like representation like to the wider public, especially being on Netflix. Yeah. So a lot of this younger generation as well. And I hope that for many people, it feels like, well, I'm being represented in the media. They're talking about my disease. Like it gets like some traction and it's actually being noticed. Like this kind of disease.
Like it gets people talking about the fact that it's about sickle cell. Hopefully, with that idea, it gets people to actually research it.
Yeah.
But I feel like, for me, from my opinion, I feel like there could have been a bit more done to give a bit more awareness about sickle cell itself. Like it's mentioned it, and it's said that the family members have this, and the people with the trait have sickle cell, etc. Which, okay, cool. But at what point did you actually discuss, like, this is what people with sickle cell are going through, this is what we have to deal with? Because, cool, you've pictured it on screen and you've mentioned the condition, but have you actually gone that step further to actually try and educate? Because I get it's meant to be a entertainment thing, but I don't think there's ever any harm in trying to educate through entertainment.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't know, that was my opinion, but do you have that same opinion as well, or do you think you're okay with it?
I mean, as I said, I haven't watched it, so
you haven't watched it?
I can't fully give an opinion.
Okay. Did you see any clips on social media?
I didn't really see any kind of publicity, like not on my side of social media, I guess.
Oh.
If there's any sides, like it was meant. I've seen it mentioned, and I've had people saying, "Oh, you have sickle cell, so watch Sickle Cell." But I really gotten around to really watch it in the first place. No, I really saw anything about it.
Honestly, I say give it a try and see what you think. I definitely say give it a try. My personal opinions, I feel like they could have done a bit more to, just throw that this is what sickle cell is. It's a mutation. This is what's happening, and not enough is being done about it. Do you feel like you have enough? Do you feel like you have enough support from your network, like people around you, in regards to your diagnosis? Because, like you said, with the supercell stuff, your friends were telling you, "Oh, you have sickle cell. Watch this." So clearly, they know about it and they're aware about it for you. Yeah. But do you feel like you have enough support from them as well?
I feel like I have definitely some people that, especially on Monday, when they saw that I was at the hospital, they were like worried, asking me questions, and just trying to support me. But I feel like because they don't fully know what is actually going on, they can't fully support me. So they can't, and especially they can't fully understand what is going on. So they can just say, "Oh, I'm sorry that you're going through this. I'm sorry that you're at the hospital," but they can't really fully understand it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still grateful that they take an interest and they're worried about my well-being and then looking after me. But it's still like something that like I can't fully, I guess, connect, because I'm kind of like, you can't fully understand this. I'm grateful for you being here, but at the same time, like, I feel like I can't come to you and say this because you just
don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, do you feel like there's anything that could be done to try and get them to understand a bit more?
I'm not sure about that. I don't think I've ever thought about that. Like, in terms of, like, I've always told them about how, like, my story and how I just wanted to get them tested again to see if it was actually the trait. But other than that, I never really thought to fully explain.
Well, what you're going to do is after this, you're going to send this video to all your friends, and then you'll know who's the real ones, because they're going to watch it and found out what exactly is going on with you.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you've told your story here, and obviously it affects you in more ways than you could ever post on social media. So, again, one of the biggest things that we can do is raising awareness, and this is probably one of the best ways that you could do that. So hopefully that does change that. And yeah, hopefully it just makes things better for you. For you in that sense.
Hopefully.
Yeah. In the community, do you feel like you would like with more support? Like in regards to getting more people to donate blood? Because the reason why I say that, and the reason why I asked you this before, is because it's kind of a common occurrence, especially in the Black community, for people not to donate blood. And a lot of it is cultural reasons, religious reasons, just not wanting people to steal blood. My mum is hilarious, by the way, because she was getting a blood test like the other day and she was so certain they were going to steal her blood. So that's why I was just like, come on now, like they actually need to test your blood. So I think, do you feel like finding a way to change that narrative in terms of getting your blood tested or donating blood, if we change that narrative, do you think it would get more people to donate blood in the future from our side?
I'm not sure. I think all the generations, you can't really try and do anything.
It's too tough. You can't change that. You can't change
exactly.
You see, word of mouth will never overpower WhatsApp University. I've said it and I'll say it again. As long as WhatsApp exists, you cannot say anything. Because I can say anything to my parents, to an auntie or anything, and just be like, actually, medically, this is what's supposed to happen. They'll be like, but this video that I just saw on WhatsApp, it says something
on Facebook.
No, yes, Facebook. Oh my God. Facebook is probably Facebook, WhatsApp, the two worst. As soon as they see a video, that's it. No one can tell them anything else. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like all the generations, it just, I wouldn't even try. At this point, it's all right. You believe this. Okay. While younger generations, I feel like it's more like easy, especially if it's informed. Because like, it's more like our age or around our age, they will be more understanding of like donating blood and actually make people understand why donating blood is important. And going to older generation, trying to like make them change their mind. Well, they had like this mentality for, I don't know, 50 years. It's not going to change.
I mean, there's always power in education. And because we were brought up here, so we've literally had to go through this whole education cycle, learning what's good for our body and what's not. And you see TikTok is one powerful app, all it would take is for one person to make donating blood look aesthetically pleasing.
So everyone's going to
be like, actually, I want to donate blood too now.
Exactly.
That's all it takes. So, it's literally, like you said, the younger generation is pretty much how things are going to change. So hopefully with us, raising our voices and actually telling people, hey, we need to do this, people will listen and be like, okay, this is what we need to do.
Yes, exactly. And also I'm part of the NHS blood transfusion group, I think, of the University of Brighton. And there's a lot of talks about blood donation for sickle cell organ donation. So especially for everyone, but mainly for University of Brighton students, there's also
that's good.
That blog that they can look at. And
that's really good.
And I'm supposed to write a page about my story and sickle cell trait. So there will be also that to aid, I guess, future generation and the current generation.
That's actually really nice of them. I'm not gonna lie. I'll actually have to say big up Brighton for that one, because you don't see a lot of unis doing that. So it's really nice that there's that community that's actually doing that for you as well. So hopefully that all goes well. In regards to all of this, how would you say this impacts you mentally?
I feel like it depends. Usually I don't really think about it, but when I get crisis, it really makes me think about how I usually say, I wish I was one of them people with sickle cell trait, but they don't get crisis. Like, so I could just like go my whole life without knowing. I could just do whatever and not have any pain. But I feel like it does have a toll on me, like mentally, because I had to stop doing triple jump, long jump. I have to be wary if I go on like on a run about breathing in. I have to be, you have to drink water always, but I have to be extra careful with like my water intake. If I drank enough water, like if I haven't drunk enough water, am I going to have a crisis? Or especially, I'm going up the stairs, I need to stop and breathe, because if I go too fast, I will then get a crisis. If I go on walks, I need to walk slowly. Just be careful not walking too fast, because if I go too fast, crisis. There's all of these little things that's like, it kind of like makes you, I wouldn't say depressed, but it would, like, it brings your mood like lower, because you're just like, I can't really do as many things as like a normal person will be able to. But I feel like most of the times I just don't really think about it. I try to think about it the least. Like,
but would you say that that's more of a repressed feeling? Like, you've been going through it for so long, it's become a normal feeling to you now, so you kind of like try and suppress it as much as you can.
I guess it might be because I didn't know until I was 16, so I guess it was just like, oh, I have pain.
Yeah.
I'm in pain, okay, it's gonna go away. I'll just be fine.
Oh my gosh. I mean, at the end of the day, mental health is one of the most important things. So I would actually like to ask you, has there ever been a point where you've blamed yourself, like, for being unable to do things, or compared yourself to someone who's, I'd say, normal?
I guess I had that mostly when I was first diagnosed. Like, especially, as I said, being like a triple jumper, long jumper, just comparing myself to my friend, like, who were able to do more training than me without being in pain, and be like, well, I wish I was like them, because if I wasn't in pain, then I would be able to train and I'll be able to progress. But because I can't train, like, then I'm stuck in this like zone where I'm just like, I'm not going further, I'm not going backwards, it's just there. So I had that, but I think day-to-day basis right now, I don't really compare myself.
And that's good. I'm glad you don't anymore, because obviously comparison is the thief of joy. It can make you so unhappy so quickly. I mean, if you could give any advice to someone who might be going through what you're going through, what advice would you give them?
Not sure. I would just say to not really like think about it, and then there's actually people, not to not think about it in the sense that dismiss it. Like, think about it, but there's people that are actively trying to change things, and there's people that, like, if you go to the hospital, there's actually people that are trying to help you. Like, even if it's not the doctor, like, try the nurse, try the healthcare assistant, anyone. Like, there might be there might be that person that, like, you don't want to ask a healthcare assistant. You go up to them like, oh, I'm not being like looked after. I'm in pain, and that person could be like, okay, I'm going to advocate for you and actually speak with someone that could help you. So that's that.
I agree with that. Self-advocacy is one of the most powerful tools, actually, especially in the healthcare community. One thing that I find myself telling people half the time is, I know some of us clinicians can be very hard-headed and can be very stubborn. Sometimes you just have to knock their head. Sometimes you just have to keep saying it, keep coming back and saying the same thing and being like, listen, I'm going through this, and whether you like it or not, I know you have to see me, so see me. So, like, self-advocacy is one of the most important things. So 100%, there will be someone who wants to help you. If it's not the doctor, like you said, go see the nurse. If it's not the nurse, even the receptionist, go see them.
Exactly.
There's going to be someone who wants to help you. So yeah, I 100% agree with that, for sure. Do you have any questions for me, per se?
I do have one question that is like, what do you think that is going to change in the clinician part of the NHS? Like, and what do you think? Like, what are you going to try and do while you like work? When once you're qualified, like once, what are you going to do to help people with sickle cell?
Okay.
What are you planning to do?
So, going back to what you said in regards to the generations and stuff. Right now, we're in a generation of social media, and our generation, especially you see the doctors, the nurses, the physician associates, etc. You see them all trying to advocate for patient safety and trying to advocate for like sickle cell and things for just things about what people are going through in general. And it's a lot more common in our generation than it was in the older generation. So I feel like as the years go by, as we continue to grow and continue to use social media to advocate for these things, there will be a generational shift in how we begin to treat patients and how they were treated beforehand, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
And in regards to what I'm going to do for people with sickle cell, eventually I want to specialize in diabetes and sickle cell. So those are two of my interests in general. It is actually a specific interest to me. And I want to be able to, again, keep raising awareness, fundraising, being in contact with the Sickle Cell Society. I'm still yet to do that, but it's something that I want to do. And just remain in contact with them to keep trying to keep that advocacy going, if you get what I mean. Because, again, awareness is key. So I know that wherever I end up working, if there's someone with sickle cell that's coming, they're going to get my full attention, because I know that the pain isn't fair. It's not nice. And I know if it was me, I'd want someone to come and see me straight away. So that's how I know things are going to change from my part. And I'm going to try and drill that into whoever is around me, because with my career, it comes with teaching. At some point, I'm going to be teaching the younger students as well, whoever comes in. So I'm just let it be known that if you ever come to my hospital while I'm teaching and the patient with sickle cell comes in and I'm telling you to go see the patient, you'll not be serious. Me and you will fight. We'll fight because I'm being serious. Because I'm someone who generally wants to change how the medical sector is now. I want it to change. But there's power in numbers. I can't be the only one wanting for things to change. So in order for things to change, and if I have the opportunity to teach the younger generation, I'm going to teach them. So don't worry. Things will get better soon, I promise. I promise. Things will get better soon. And if at some point I become a doctor later on in life and I'm a specialist and you come and see me, you're in good hands. I promise. As a soft launch into the career. But thank you for taking the opportunity to actually come onto the platform to have a discussion about this. This was actually really heartwarming conversation. I've learned things actually in regards to how sickle cell works, and I felt like it was really, really important to see from your perspective what you're going through, because a lot of the times when we can see beyond the condition, it makes it easier to treat you as a person rather than just the patient. Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to do. So thank you again, because I know you travel far. So I really hope that this, I really hope that it gets where it needs to get to. Yeah. So once again, thank you. Thank you. To everyone that's watching, I'm your host, Paris. This has been another episode on the Pink Stethoscope. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. And let me know if you also knew what I didn't know. So I know whether I need to change my revision method. So thank you once again. I hope all of you guys have an amazing day. Bye.